is RPH, Rewind Philippine History, where we don't just remember history, we question it. Every 12th of June, we commemorate the Philippine independence, a date that marked our freedom, a date that shaped the nation that we've become. But what if the story behind it is not as complete as we were told?
First, let's define what commemoration is. Commemoration is the act of remembering something that is preserved in national memory and is an important event. And every year, on the 12th of June, we commemorate the Philippine independence. Historical records confirm that independence was declared by Emilio Aguinaldo. However, this declaration did not result in full sovereignty.
On June 12, 1898, Emilio Aguinaldo declared independence in Kawit, Cavite. A national flag was raised and a declaration of independence was read. This event is considered the symbolic birth of the Philippine nation. However, Spain still maintained control over key areas, including Manila at the time of the declaration. This means that political and military control was not fully transferred to Filipino revolutionary forces.
Just months after the declaration on December 10, 1898, Spain and the United States signed the Treaty of Paris. And in this agreement, Spain gave up and transferred the Philippines along with other territories to the United States following the Spanish-American War. The transfer of control happened without any Filipino consent or participation in the negotiation. And despite the earlier declaration of independence, the Philippines was not recognized as a sovereign nation by the signing powers. And as a result, the country came under American colonial rule, showing that independence had been declared but not fully achieved.
In 1935, the Commonwealth of the Philippines was established. Under the leadership of President Manuel L. Quezon, for the first time, Filipinos were allowed to elect their own president. This marked a significant step towards independence, as Filipinos gained more control over internal affairs. The Commonwealth was designed as a transitional administration in preparation for full independence. However, the independence was still limited, and the United States was still in control. It was designed to prepare the country for a full independence in a certain period of time. But unfortunately, the Philippines' plans for governing itself were soon disrupted by World War II, which affected the Philippines and delayed its progress towards self-governance, which later achieved its independence in 1946.
Before this, did you know Filipinos used to celebrate Independence Day on the 4th of July? This is because it was the date when the United States officially recognized the Philippines as an independent nation in 1946. This created two historical independence references: June 12, 1898, the Declaration of Independence from Spain, and July 4, 1946, the recognition of independence from the United States. Both dates represent different stages of Philippines' independence.
In 1962, former President Diosdado Macapagal changed the official Independence Day from July 4 to July 12 through Republic Act No. 4166, which also declared July 4 as the Philippine Republic Day. The purpose of the change was to recognize the original Declaration of Independence in 1898 and to strengthen national identity. However, this also emphasized symbolic independence rather than legal recognition of sovereignty.
Several misconceptions exist regarding the Philippine independence, especially surrounding the events of June 12, 1898, and the symbols associated with it. One common belief is that Emilio Aguinaldo personally raised the Philippine flag during the Declaration of Independence. However, Historical accounts show that the flag raising was coordinated act involving multiple individuals and details vary depending on the source. Another misconception is that June 12, 1898 was the very first time the Philippine flag was ever raised. In reality, revolutionary symbols and versions of the flag were already being used by the Filipino revolutionaries prior to the formal declaration. It is also widely believed that the Declaration of Independence happened strictly in the morning. However, historical records differ on the exact timeline of events, showing that the sequence of activities during that day is not universally agreed upon. There are also misunderstandings about the flag itself. This includes interpretations that the three stars were always strictly representing Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, as well as assumptions that the flag's colors were chosen for symbolic, patriotic meaning without historical influences or context from other revolutions and flags. In addition, there are also misconceptions about the Philippine national anthem. While Lupang Hinirang is now recognized as the Philippine national anthem, we have earlier revolutionary works such as the Marangal na Dalit ng Katagalugan that were used in different contexts during the revolutionary period. This shows that the national symbols evolved over time. Other simplified narratives include the belief that historical artifacts and symbols have remained unchanged since their creation, when, in reality, many of them have been preserved, relocated, or reinterpreted across different periods of Philippine history.
So when we're commemorating June 12, we are not just celebrating independence, we are remembering the beginning, the struggle for it. This is RPH, Rewind Philippine History, and sometimes the past is not wrong, it is just more complicated than we were told.